T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Hello, everybody. I just got word that our co-host is dying. I hope you mean by laughing. I hope it's laughter. Yeah. We are setting sail on the RP Show, episode number 1632. Get on up inside your favorite daytime sports talk show, everybody. Here on Game Plus TV across Canada and 32 U.S. states. Broadcasting from the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Hi there. Kevin, the medium, is our co-host from the Hughes Sports Podcast in Hour 1. In Hour 2, a very special treat as well. Darren Moose Dupont. Moose will be here from Palm Springs, California. Kevin is joining us on the last couple of days before he heads not just south, way south. Kev, do you want to tell the folks before we get into serious, very serious sports talk about what the hell you've got yourself into?
I have no idea how this happened, but we are going to go to the middle of the jungle in the Dominican and stay in a treehouse. It sounded like such a good idea when we booked it. It was so romantic. And then we're like, hold on, this treehouse is open on 3 sides. Only thing protecting us is a mosquito net over our bed. So, 8 days, no cell service, no Wi-Fi. We'll see.
Yeah, I said to Kev, this is a holiday? This is a prison sentence. But anyways, that's what Kevin the Medium is doing. He's not going to be with us for a couple of weeks' time, but let's let her rock and roll. Quick 6 show topics. We open with the big story on this Thursday. It's the National Hockey League from Wednesday, Kev. Cole Caulfield scored the shootout winner after a frantic overtime period, and the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Winnipeg Jets 3-2 in just a wild back-and-forth game. I watched it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I don't think Jets fans necessarily did. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor had a goal and a helper each for Winnipeg. They've lost for the 6th time in 7 games, ending a 5-game road trip. Elsewhere, Travis Konechny, Noah Cates, and Bobby Brink each had a goal and a helper. The Philly Flyers beat Buffalo 5-2. Alex Ovechkin and Ryan Leonard each scored 2 goals to lead the Washington Capitals to a 7-1 win over the San Jose Sharks. I went 2 of 5 on picks. I sucked. And I don't guess you saw any of the overtime, Kevin, because you're not in the Jets region like I fortunately am here in the Bermuda Triangle. But that overtime was, I'm going to say, hockey at its best, or for sure 3-3 overtime on its best. Are you enjoying the NHL overtime and shootout rules? Because the Bell Center last night was just electric.
I like the overtime, the 3-on-3, when played like it was meant to be played. I hate it when they just keep going back and forth. I wish they'd bring in a rule like you can't go over the center line and you have to give up the puck or something just to make it that much more exciting. I don't know how that rule would work, but I like it. I personally, I didn't. When it first came in, I'm the old school. I was like, how dare you change our game? Oh, that sounds familiar. But I think it changed for the better. I like it.
You went all CFL fan on me there. You're right. You're totally right. And thank you for bringing that up. Ron Duguay was on this show a year or 2 ago, the New York Rangers great, and he said they should penalize, bring in that basketball rule, the over and back rule, so that you can't drag it back across your own side of center, because that ruins it. But what we saw last night was just amazing hockey, man. A pond hockey, fire wagon hockey. And I think that's just the little glimpses of it get you all excited. But it kind of leads to my poll question here today. And this opening segment goes so fast. And I didn't tell you what it is, Kev, so you may need a minute or two to think about it. But if anybody wants to take a look at the standings as of today in the National Hockey League, there ain't one Western team in a playoff spot in the NHL. And there's only 2 in the East, Ottawa, Montreal. So the poll question today for EMJ Marketing is, how many Canadian teams do you think will make the Stanley Cup playoffs? 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more? And so you think about it, unless you want to blurt it right out. But I was like, I didn't like the look of it. It looked weird to look at the Western Conference standings and see no Canadian teams in there. And then the offshoot of that will be, how does the NHL feel about this? Because the diehard Canadian NHL fans are going to go, Gary Bettman would love this. No, he wouldn't. No. So that's a lot. Go.
I saw the poll question before we came on the air. I voted too, because statistics say American Thanksgiving, if you're in the playoffs, the chances are you're going to make the playoffs. If you're out of the playoffs, chances are you're not going to make the playoffs. Jake and I did our show Wednesday, last night, and we pulled it up. Canucks have a 7% chance of making the playoffs. You can may as well bank that they're not going to make the playoffs. Neither is Calgary. Edmonton, they might. I mean, Edmonton has the talent where they can go on a 14-game winning streak. Not many of the other teams do, unfortunately.
Well, I kind of wonder, and that's the one thing about this show. It's very similar to my website for years, rodpeterson.com, twice voted Canada's sports blog of the year, 40 million all-time hits. Last I checked, I think it's a lot more than that. But Les Lazaruk, the Hall of Fame voice of the Blades, said, he goes, your website makes you think. Well, I want this show to make people think. Even though people don't really like to think, I'm asking you to think. At what point do we get worried? And by the way, that U.S. Thanksgiving stat, I think at least for this year, maybe forever, I'm not even paying attention to that stat anymore. Because I've heard 75%, 80%, whatever it is, 75 to 80% of teams in a playoff spot make the playoffs. That's been thrown in the crapper the last couple of years, and for whatever reason, the games are far more unpredictable. They're closer than they've ever been. I think we can scrap that stat. But for you to say 2 isn't wrong. But
No.
Would the NHL be concerned, or Gary Bettman? I don't know. But I got to think the Oilers are in. I got to think the Jets are in. I got to think the Habs and Sens are in. That's 4, but not the Leafs? When do we start to think about this for reals?
Yeah, I mean, when's that deadline? Is it after the Christmas break? Is it after
Trade
the Olympic
deadline?
break? Trade deadline?
March.
You know what? Yeah, but March, if you're not in the playoffs by March, are you making the playoffs? I doubt it. I can't see a path for the Flames. And that obviously the 2 teams I pay most attention to is the Flames and the Canucks, being where I live. I just can't see them making it. Edmonton, I can see them making it. Winnipeg, they're going to be on the fence. They could fall either way. They've won 1 in their last 7, just the same as the Canucks.
Crappy when you write off your season before Christmas, and in those cases you're not wrong. But hang on, we're just getting rolling. Trust me, everybody, we do have football talk to come and some NBA, and everybody will be happy. We'll be right back. This is the warm-up, and we're live across Canada and 32 U.S. states across the Game Plus television network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th, it all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The Battle on the Prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The RP Show continues. I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of things Canadians take for granted. One of those is Tim Hortons coffee. I'll give you the free advertising, Tim's. I'm enjoying it every single day. I'm only here for a week, but I enjoy it. Kevin, the medium, is with us from the Hughes Sports Podcast, and I'm going to get to the comments from the viewers in a second about a variety of things, Kev. But with regards to the kooky NHL standings and how many Canadian teams are going to make it, Jeff in Toronto's watching. He says, it's different this year. Seems like everyone is in a similar spot in the East. Yes, that's true. Florida's in last. They're in last, but they're not a last-place team. Steven writes in. Steven Johnson says, hey, Rod, how do you explain the Ducks' performance last night against Utah? Total embarrassment. How do I explain it? They got goalied. Ville Husso got pulled. 4 goals allowed on 21 shots. Mason McTavish scored in the second period to get them on the board. It was pulled off because of a crappy offside review. It was bad breaks, bro. Touch grass if you can. You can't get this wound up about every single thing. And I'm going to read this, Kev. I don't want you to we'll let it percolate. But Kirk in Toronto writes in and he says, hey, Rod, John Hufnagel is now an Argonaut, and despite his age at 74 is a great hire for the Double Blue. Both him and new head coach Mike Miller are Pennsylvania natives. That's right. John Hufnagel joined the Argos. That's where I'm at on the news right now in the Canadian Football League. I got to apologize.
He has joined the front office as an advisor, similar to what he was here in Calgary for the last few years, mentoring the president. If, and it's a big if, capital letters, there was an issue in that front office, like some people did report, that's going to be solved now. Hufnagel will go in and he's old school. He will drop people quicker than a snowflake falls. It is going to help Toronto immensely to have that kind of experience in that front office.
Awesome. We'll come back maybe after Kevin adjourns. And I have to apologize. My mind isn't there, folks. It's not there. It's not Football Friday. We'll talk a lot more about it tomorrow. I didn't even know John Hufnagel joined the Argos on my mother's grave. I didn't. Point 2, the Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys are the top 2 teams in the hunt for an NFC wild card and are still holding on to hopes to compete for a division championship. So I'm not going to get into this with Kev here either. He's not the biggest NFL guy. I'll push a lot of this to hour 2, but it is a must-win game tonight. This is a slobber knocker of a Week 14 kickoff in the NFL. Dallas Cowboys at Detroit Lions. I'm very, very grateful to have the night off tonight and the ability to watch this football game tonight. On the flip side, this is something I'm going to get into with Moose next hour. I mean, Kev, we're realizing nothing's changed here on this show. It's the Golden Corral of sports. It is a buffet.
Yes.
There's a little bit of something for everybody, but we all need to understand not everything's for everybody, okay? So sit tight and hold on to your panties if that's your thing. What I'm going to get into with Moose next hour, because he's sitting out there in Palm Springs, where he tells me, I mean, I was just there last week, but I didn't spend a lot of time visiting with people. Moose is like living there. It's college football number 1 for them. And I didn't even bring this up to you because I didn't want to give you a headache. But speaking of asking people to think, how should college football change how they do things, whereby coaches are interviewing for jobs before Halloween, is the article that I read this morning. Mid-season, they're interviewing for jobs elsewhere. That is wrong. It's wrong. You know, we sit here and bang on the CFL and the kooky things they do, but college football is more screwed up than anybody. I'm actually interested to just get your take on that as a guy that's not really paying attention. What do you think when you see what's going on in college football right now?
Moose brought it up last week, and I was like, there's a coach that's deciding where he's going, and this is like mid-season. What?
Yeah, before he's gone. He's gone.
It's bizarre. They've got to make changes there, and I think this will make them make changes. Usually, you don't make a rule until you realize it needs to be a rule. So maybe this will kind of put something in and say, no, we can't do this anymore.
Well, so what's funny about that is you're 100% right. And yeah, if you're a typical Canadian sports fan, you aren't following this. And it's why we do the Canadian Hour in Hour 1. That's why I have time for Huffnagel joining the Argos, and I will talk about it, just not right here, because it's my show, not the viewer's show. So we'll debate this next hour with Moose, and he's very excited to talk about it. And I kind of sit there and go, these schools are raking in literally billions of dollars, and the people at the top, they can't even figure out how to fix it. So why the hell would I sit here in Moose Jaw and try and find an answer to it when they can't, and they're making all the money? Yet that's what makes the sports world go round, right? That's what makes the sport world go round.
And you said it. They're raking in not millions, but billions of dollars. So is there something to fix? Yeah, you could tweak it, but you don't really have to fix anything. You're making billions of dollars.
It goes to a further thing. You've raised kids. I've raised kids. Mine, fortunately, were girls, so they never looked to sports figures as their heroes or sports at all. But I did as a kid, and kids are now. And I'm like, don't look at sports as the way to be, because it's totally wrong. If you do that, that's not a good thing. So anyways, bringing it back on the road, trying. Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, two of the key pillars in the New England Patriots dynasty, were picked as finalists for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class Wednesday. We discussed that a little bit. I hate when the news drops in the middle of the show, which is when the news came down yesterday, so I didn't really dig into it that much yesterday. But Belichick was picked as the coaching candidate. Kraft was picked as a contributor. Belichick won 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a coordinator. And Kraft's Patriots have been in the Super Bowl 10 times. That's the most by any owner in NFL history. The question is not, are they Hall of Famers? We all know they are. But so is Darren Fleury, and he's not in. How do you feel about these two going to the Hall of Fame, Kev, based on what you follow of NFL football and life?
I mean, you hear two people, you hear those two names, you automatically think championships. It's just that simple. So, yeah, they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But you and I have had this discussion 100 times plus. So does Theo. It's politics. And politics will be politics. They definitely deserve to be where they're going.
Well, to me, it's a bigger story than that. And it's in my commentary today. You can go read it at rodpeterson.com or listen on Sask Radio. Belichick was disciplined for his role in Spygate, videotaping the opposition practices and stuff like that. And then the Deflategate, where Tom Brady was suspended 4 games for his role in that. Don't think Bill Belichick didn't know what was going on. Give me a break. There's that, and then Robert Kraft's transgressions, which we discussed yesterday, which we won't get into here. You can find them very easily by Googling them. I mean, on one hand, it's really great that the leagues are putting things in the past. I feel that way, whether it's Carter Hart or these guys or whatever. You know, I think it's amazing. But the bigger story is, if you're going to cheat to win and still go to the Hall of Fame, what possible impediment is it to that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. But did Deflategate, did the coaching, did videotaping the other team coaches, would they have won anyway? Who knows? I think, are they minor infractions? It's all on what you're looking at. To be that successful for that long, I don't think deflating a ball by X amount is going to make that much of a difference. Did he do it a whole bunch of times? Who knows? To the average fan, and that's what I am, the average fan, again, when you think of those two names, you think championships. That's just on that alone, they deserve to be in there.
They're Hall of Famers.
Right?
They're Hall of Famers.
Yes.
Yeah, but
for sure.
But
should there be an asterisk?
Yeah, that's the law of the jungle. The end justifies the means. End of story. Period. The end justifies the means. Now, I will slip back now. Yeah, I spent decades working in hockey, and it's funny because you don't ever hear anybody getting disciplined for cheating in hockey. You don't. They don't do it. But in football, it's everybody does it. And when, we've had guys in the CFL that were disciplined. I'm not going to name names now. It was years ago. But when it came out for videotaping practices, sneaking into practices, whatever, I remember very clearly asking my coaches, Danny Barrett comes to mind, but other guys, oh, how do you feel about that? Well, they do it, but we don't. Or why do you guys cover your mouth like this when you're talking? Why do you do this when you're on camera? Well, because they're writing, we're writing, but we don't. Come on, you guys. I guess it's just, yeah. Go ahead.
If there's a possibility that you can get an advantage in the world of professional sports, the business of professional sports, because remember, it's a business, you're going to take whatever advantage that is. If that means lip reading, you're going to do it. If that means you have someone sneak into a practice facility and kind of watch the other team, you're going to do it. It's just a thing. But you're right. You never hear about this in hockey. Why is that?
No.
Why is it always
other than one thing that just popped into my head? You, the medium, would say, my guides just made me think of something, Kev. 1993 Stanley Cup Final. Marty McSorley of the LA Kings got called with an illegal stick in a critical moment in the series in Montreal.
Yeah.
And the story was that the Montreal Canadiens equipment staff had the lock key to the padlock to the Kings dressing room, and they snuck in the night before and measured all the sticks. Oh, McSorley's stick's illegal. Tuck that away until the moment that we need it. So how nefarious is that? I don't know. Is it nefarious? I'm confused because these guys going to the Hall of Fame.
Is there a rule?
Yeah.
Is there a rule that says you can't sneak into the opponent's locker room and measure the sticks? I've never read the whole entire rule book, but I bet you can guarantee there's no rule that says you can't do that. So is it breaking the rules? It's taking advantage.
It's home ice advantage.
If you're given the team's playbook, are you not going to read it? As a professional player, if you have that advantage, you're going to read it. Of course you're going to read it. You're not going to go, oh no, I don't. I play fair. I'm going to put that to the side. Screw that. You're going to read the darn thing, and you're going to get every advantage you can.
So hang on. So just some. I hope you're having as much fun as I am, Kev. We're not taking ourselves too serious here today. We're on Game Plus Television, Hour 2, also on Game Plus, but going across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. We got a plethora of topics here. So let me just check my timer. Thank you, producer Corey. Jeff in Toronto says the cover-up with Deflategate was worse than the crime. I'm just passing along. I'm not going to give judgment or thoughts on any of their comments. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in. He says, Cowboys by 3 tonight. I'm with you, bro, but the Lions are favored by 3 by the sports books, and I can't figure that out. Arlen Bruce checks in, and he says, good day, RP and Kev. The transfer portal are for coaches now. It's getting out of control. We're going to go deep on that with Moose next hour. I'm not going to bore our Canadian viewers with college football talk in hour 1. BW in Edmonton writes in, and he says, morning, RP squad. I thought Huff going to Toronto was another AI story till you, Rod, confirmed it. I didn't do it. Kirk did from Toronto. I won't take credit for something that if I do deserve credit, I'll tell the world. But if I don't deserve it, I won't take credit for anything I don't deserve. Jeff in the zone says Lions by 7 tonight. Boom. Steven the Ducks fan says, thanks, Rod. I've successfully talked him off the ledge. How the Ducks lost 7-0 last night to Utah. So, hey, that's what I do. That's what I do for free. So we're working our way through that. Listen, I do have CFL in the topics coming up in the next segment with Kevin the Medium here. Speaking of Kevin the Medium, can I read you one? Vintage Sasko writes in on the Western Dodge text line, Cav. He says, hi, Reverend Rodney. I dislike Vancouver traffic and West Coast rain, but I'm a fan of the BC-focused Hughes Sports Podcast. Mad props to co-host Kevin, plus his big-ass hat collection. That's from Vintage Sasko. Okay. We'll be right back with more of this, whatever this is, when we return. Moose coming up in hour 2 here on Game Plus Television.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th. It all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The battle on the prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hey, we're back, everybody, coming to you from Moose Jaw and the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Let's bring in Kevin the Medium here and all of his fans. We're on Game Plus TV, and the Moose will be joining us in hour two. And Game Plus TV seems to be very excited that we've got the Moose coming up in hour two as well. They love him there. Okay, so hang on. A couple things. Cowboys playing at the Lions tonight. My Dallas Cowboys. I have detached from them, but I still follow them. Kev knows the meaning of that term. Not everybody does. Jeremy in Winnipeg says Jerry Jones was going to trade Micah Parsons to the Jets for Quentin Williams and a first-rounder before the Eagles opener. He said that on his weekly Dallas radio talk show. LOL. Jeremy, you're a Chiefs fan. What is with your weird fascination with the Dallas Cowboys? Can you just leave our drama to us and stay? Your first mistake is listening to anything that Jerry Jones says. That's your first mistake. Now, hang on. Before I jump back into what the viewers are saying, point four, the Quick Six Show topics. Blue Jays designated hitter George Springer was named the team's player of the year by the Toronto chapter of the Baseball Writers Association of America yesterday. Springer picked up 19 of 20 first-place votes. First baseman Vladdy had the other first-place vote. Point five, the Raptors are set to host the LA Lakers tonight in NBA play. Raps coming off a three-point win over Portland, but Luka Doncic is not playing for the Lakers tonight. And point six, I will say this, for the CFFL, The BC Lions have signed star wide receiver Keon Hatcher Sr. to a contract extension through the 2027 season. The CFL club announced yesterday. Hatcher, a favorite target of Lions quarterback Nathan Rourke, led the league with 1,688 yards and 102 receptions last season. And on this CFL vein, John Huffnagel joining the Argos. My boy Jack Fulton is watching in Vulcan, Alberta. He writes in and he says, "Thank you, Huff, for everything you've done for the Calgary Stampeders and specifically for allowing my life choice dynamics to thrive with the Stampeders and CFL players." So, okay, well, I don't know where to go with all of this. There's a lot on the plate here. There's a lot on the plate, Kev. What's grabbing you right now? I feel like there's a lot of people on this hour one that do want to mention the CFL news, so that's cool. You're here as the guest. What's on your mind out of all of this?
Well, it's funny because when you read Jack's comment, I have YouTube up, so I read his comment before you did, and I'm like, as soon as he said, "Thank you for letting his life choice dynamics be such a big part of the Stamps," automatically in my head I went, "Why doesn't every team have this? Every team should have a Jack on their roster, on their coaching staff, if you want to call it that." Jack does amazing things. You and I talked to him. He blew me away. It was amazing. Hatcher signing, reports are $600,000+ over 2 years, plus $125,000 signing bonus. I love that we're now getting the actual salaries of the CFL players. Apparently that's going to become a thing in the near future. They're talking about it at the winter meetings. I think it would be awesome. We'd get away from this whole, CFL players make $10,000 a year and they need a job while they're playing. Some of them, yeah, but I mean, those are old days. These guys are making good money now. Are they making the millions the NFL are? Of course not. But I think it would be great for the league to put that out there.
I have no idea why that's been a thing for years. I've been a fan of the CFL my whole life, worked in it a long time. They never wanted to make the salaries public. But the older I get, I'm realizing things aren't always going to be this. Things are changing everywhere. So we got to get with it. So I guess that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know why it matters so much. Well, it's funny because John Ohm has checked in. He says CFL, crazy football league, which, by the way, I'm wondering why we're sitting here talking about it in December. But you know what? That's what the viewers want to talk about, so that's okay. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes in. He says, after looking up Huffnagel's career, I did not know he was the Cleveland Browns quarterbacks coach in 99 and 2000, the Tim Couch years of whose jersey I have. Well, it's funny because Huff was on this show when we were broadcasting from the Grey Eagle Casino. He came down. It's before you and I even knew each other. And it was funny. I said, Huff, I was watching the Tom Brady documentary the other night, and you were on there. And he was laughing. He's like, how did you recognize me on there? Because his hair was dark and, that he had coached with the Patriots as well. And I'm like, what do you mean, how did I recognize you? I'm from Saskatchewan. You were our quarterback when I was in grade 2. Does everybody remember J.J. Barnagle? But I guess the bigger story out of all of this is John Huffnagel at 74 going to the Toronto Argonauts. And maybe people are writing in saying that he's going to go in and clean house. I mean, I doubt it. And let me I get that the fans are going to say that, but John Huffnagel knows who all the personalities are in that Argos front office. He knows who they are, okay? He's worked with some of them. So I don't know. I just think Huff's bored. End of story. That's why he's going to Toronto. Come on. What else would it be?
Huff doesn't need the money. I mean, I guess the money would be good, but I don't think he's doing it for the money. I think you're right. I think Huff's got to keep doing something at 70 plus years old. What is he going to do? Go home and sit on the couch? He's a football guy. He'll always be a football guy. He's one of those guys that will be involved in football till he takes his last breath. And good on him at what is he, 74?
I guess.
To be able to still be in demand, that a team wants you, how cool is that? I wish when I'm another 14 years, I'm still wanted somewhere.
Brother, things are really coming around. And this is a talk where you and we could go on your other shows, your Cavalli channeling and medium thing and talk about that. You're seeing a lot of old guys coming back. And I can't speak for old women. I don't know. I'm just talking about old guys. The Huffnagels, the Belichicks, the guys that have actually done something are getting hired in places after being eschewed for a long, look it up, it is a word. The wheel's coming around. The wheel is coming around. And a lot of us never thought it would.
People are realizing, some of us old guys, we actually know stuff. What's that saying? We drink and we know things. Does that mean Wally Buono is going to come out of retirement?
He doesn't want to.
Yeah, no, he's having too much fun.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to him about it. But, I mean, that's the other thing is people I go, let it go, Rod. That same voice that was in my head earlier has come back. Let it go, Rod. No, it's just people can only see things from their own purview, and it drives me flipping like nuts. And my friend Mike in Hawaii, who's probably watching right now, he's like, Rod, you have a very, very, very rare perspective on things. Kev, you have the same one. You can see other. Everybody's like, why is he working? He must need the money. No, just because you wouldn't work past the age of 60 if you didn't have to doesn't mean nobody else wants to. That's what drives me flipping nuts. Oh, he must need the money. Why would you think that? Go ahead.
It keeps you young. People know I retired from my real job, my full-time job, and now I do sports and I do my spiritual stuff. I'm probably busier now than I was when I was working full-time. Why? It's because I love it. It's something that fills me. Huffnagel loves the CFL. He lives, breathes, eats the CFL. He's not going anywhere. If he doesn't go to Toronto, he probably stays in Calgary and signs another contract. Someone's going to want the Huffnagel. It's always going to be a thing.
We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow, you and me, on Football Friday. But from the audience here, John Ohm says, I was called an old guy the other day. You should be grateful that you've lived to be called an old guy, old enough. From the account Toronto 2 writes in and says, hello, John Huffnagel has many a football connection and knowledge to boot. And John goes on to say the torch has been passed in Calgary. I'll just say this for the CFL fans. last Saturday night, I was with Corey Mace, and we were talking about the fact that this Saturday, I'm going to be with Mark Mueller, the Rough Riders offensive coordinator, doing another banquet in Lanigan, Saskatchewan. And Mace goes, Mark Mueller loves/hates the CFL. And I was like, you don't even need to explain that to me because we're all the same. We love it, but we hate the way they do things.
It's a love-hate relationship. That's the thin line.
Have a love-hate relationship. Yeah, clearly Huff does too. Oh my God. Okay, Kev. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll do all of this on the Football Friday. We'll be right back, everybody.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having as much fun as we are. By the way, rep the show you love, The Rod Pedersen Show. Now that I'm up here in the Great White North, where it's not really that cold, 0 Celsius, that's like 32 Fahrenheit. I can get into my hoodies and my bunny hugs and all the rest that Joe has designed, and we're selling at rodpedersen.com. Just click on RP Store. There's bunny hugs, T-shirts, hats, mugs, travel mugs, all kinds of goodies there. rodpedersen.com. Click on RP Store. I do have a lot of notes written down here that I would like to talk about. For instance, the poll question, how many NHL teams from Canada will be in the Stanley Cup playoffs? I know there's a lot of people that think about it way more than I do because my mind's split on a lot of different things, but it just dawned on me this morning while looking at the NHL Western Conference standings, there's not one Canadian team in a playoff spot in the West, and we're coming up on Christmas. Who else is alarmed by that? And there are only two as of today in the East, Montreal and Ottawa. No Leafs. How is this going to play out? And then the offshoot of that, which we can get into here with you, because it's just me and you to the top of the hour, or hour two when Moose joins, is how will the NHL feel about this? Because Johnny Canuck, Canadian NHL fan, will say, oh, Bettman will love that, last Canadian. No, he won't. And I can very confidently say, as the host of Florida's most watched NHL podcast, Bettman wants more Canadian teams in, not less. And if you can't figure that out, we can't be friends. That's number one. Number two, how would you change college football overall? We're going to spend way more time with Moose. And I talked about this early, but there's a lot more people watching now than when I brought this up earlier, so they missed it. College football's broken. We all know that. And it's not just Lane Kiffin leaving his team, Ole Miss, on the cusp of the playoffs. The playoff bracket's going to be announced Sunday night, and I can't wait for it. I'm that guy now. But the fact of the matter is, players are getting ready to jump schools. Coaches are already jumping teams. It's wrong. And we'll get into the reasons why their calendar is all screwed up. It needs to be changed, and this is my point. And there are these mucky mucks the suits, the tall foreheads that have been granted the authority to run college football, and they've completely screwed it all up. That's usually how it goes. So I guess as we sit here as a sports talk host, or you as the fans, we have as much right as anybody to say, how can this be fixed? To the degree that we know. I guess my point is the guys that are being paid millions of dollars and making billions with their schools, clearly they don't know what they're doing. So make it make sense. Oh, here's one. I'm listening to Mike Florio this morning because I'm out for my walks here. In Florida, I run. Here I walk. It's a slower pace in Moose Jaw. If you know, you know. Moose Jaw. And Florio was saying this morning on NBC Sports Radio and Pro Football Talk, which I just love that guy because he reminds me a lot of me, but especially way more of me before I evolved into the way that I think now. He's annoyed and pissed off all the time, and that was me. And in this case, he was talking about Mike Tomlin, and he's just saying in Pittsburgh, he goes, it's time. And we'll talk more NFL next hour because there's a lot of CFL comments have come in here, but he goes, it's time. In Pittsburgh, it's time. And I'm like, what do you mean it's time? It's easy for you, Mike, to say. And then the other reason I listened to Florio, he had me guffawing, laughing so hard, my guts and my ribs hurt. And he wasn't even trying to be funny. I've been accused of being like that. But it's like, back to only people can only examine their own perspective. Maybe Mike Tomlin doesn't want to leave Pittsburgh. My guess is he doesn't. And maybe the Steelers don't want Mike Tomlin to leave. One of the most successful coaches they've ever had. Who are you? Mike Florio, how could you say that? How about if we say to you, Mike, maybe it's just time that you leave NBC Football Night in America. Maybe it's just time. You'd lose your mind. Nobody ever, it's very, very, very rare that somebody leaves on their own, and I almost feel like it's never a mutual parting. I've yet to see one. They can say that it is, but it never is. That's just one of many NFL stories because the NFL is very, very exciting to talk about, especially tonight's Thursday night matchup. Well, and Jeff is saying this. He says both need a change. That is also possible. I guess we'll find out at the end of the year. Again, why are we talking about it now? We got to at least wait. I feel like sports, I've never worked in anything else but sports. I don't know really what it's like in the steel industry or the bakery industry. I don't know. But what I do know is in sports, you can't start the cleanup until after the disaster. You can't. You see the trains going off the tracks. You know it's going. What are you going to do? You got to let it go off the tracks. Or stay on the tracks. Who knows? But to start, now's not the time. Well, and thank you, Jeff in Toronto. You make far too much sense to be watching this show. He says Andy Reid and the Eagles both benefited from a change. Yeah, but was that mutual? That's my point. It was not mutual. No, it was not mutual because when the Eagles and the Chiefs met multiple times in the Super Bowl, that was a really big story that Andy was pissed off at the Eagles for being fired. So that's my whole point is maybe it's time. Time for who is my point. Thank you, Jack in Vulcan, Alberta writes, and he says, Rod, it's always the suits that screw it up, not the players. Right? Okay, Jack, I'm going to talk like I'm just talking to you and me, and everybody else can just listen in. I was in a 12-step meeting a while back. There's a lot of business executives and owners in that program, just so you all know. And a couple of guys were saying, it's very hard to believe that this 12-step recovery program has survived for almost 100 years with no governance. Nobody's running it. It sustains itself. Yeah, because we don't need guys like you that don't do anything, that sit around the table and pat each other on the back. When it's the foot soldiers that are actually out doing the things, making it run. We don't need you screwing things up. That's usually when I get a text from my mentor, Rand. Go for a walk. John Huffnagel joining the Toronto Argonauts. And I'm glad you guys are all having fun with me today, just like I am. Huff. Well, he says exactly, love-hate relationships. I shouldn't have spilled the guts on what Corey Mace said about Mark Mueller, but we're all the same. We love the CFL, but we hate the CFL. It drives us nuts. I don't feel like there's any other league like that. I don't know what it is. WHL 1986 is the account watching on YouTube, writes in. He says, I honestly feel the Huffnagel transition to Toronto narrative is being overblown. This is simply an advisory role. He's not going to involve himself into the day-to-day. We'll see. We'll see. It always starts like that. That's what I heard for years in Calgary. And although I heard going into this past season that Huff was not going to be involved in Calgary, and I don't think that he was, but I'm not around the CFL circles like I was. Huff wasn't supposed to have been involved other than an advisory role for the last several years. Yet I go to the Combine, yet I go to the Grey Cup, I go to these things, and here's Huff running around in sweatpants with a marker in his mouth. The Sharpie. He's around. Huff can't not be around and involved. And I get it, because I'm the same. That's why I moved to Florida. I can't be around and not be involved. I can't. So I'll just leave. John Ohm. Thank you, John. By the way, we did talk about the Winnipeg Jets. It was the very first point today. I feel like you weren't here yet. He says the Jets had one of their best games in the last 6, and they still lost in overtime. Shootout, actually. He says, we need to make the playoffs, please. John goes on to say, Rod's rant. We don't need you to screw things up. That was the whole point of the whole deal, and I've never gotten any closure on that. Sometimes you don't. There's today's lesson, folks. You don't always get closure. Back to being a certified mental health and addiction recovery coach. I've worked with coaches all over the world, and I was with the Navy. Chaplain. They do the same thing. And he goes, I don't know what closure is. I've never seen it. Move on. Jack says, by nature, Huff will be involved. See, that's what I'm saying. And that's why so many say that I'm the biggest threat to the establishment, because I see these things and I say them, and it scares the hell out of the establishment. It scares the hell out of them. So to say that Huff's going to go in there and clean house, no, I don't think that'll be the case at all. He's an offensive genius. And I just like the fact that they're calling these guys and giving them opportunities, because a guy like Huff would be bored. And not everybody's the same. I was thinking about this the other day. All the people that I've worked with over the years in sports that didn't stay involved, like 2% of people do. 98% of guys go on with their lives. You never hear from them again. Nick Saban went into TV and he's happy. Here's Huff back with the Argos. Here's Belichick in college. Like it's fascinating to watch, quite frankly. So Moose will be with us next hour. This is going fast, and I knew it would. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Hour 1 has been on Game Plus TV only. We'll be going across Nevada next hour on the Silver State Sports Entertainment. But as always, here on our Overlord, Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, A big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Top up your drinks. Away we go. And I'm going to tell you, you are in for a real treat here on the Rod Pedersen Show today. And this opening segment's going to go real fast because we got a lot to talk about. It's your boy RP here, broadcasting from the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Canada. I'm here for a week on business. And as my advisor Lisa in Florida says, you're getting reflective. Yes, I am. But it's been a fantastic week, and thank you all for being part of it. And coming up in the second segment of this hour's program, which, by the way, we are now on Nevada television on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and across Canada as usual on the Game Plus television network and 32 U.S. states. In the second segment, Moose Dupont, the founder of this show, will be joining us from Palm Springs, California, his second home. And he's going to get into all of these topics that I've got laid out for you here. So let's get down to business on this Thursday. Point one, we're opening with the National Football League because Week 14 opens tonight. The Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys are the top two teams in the hunt for an NFC wild card and are still holding on to hopes to compete for division championships. Detroit hosts Dallas tonight, and the winner will improve its position in the playoff picture, while the loser may not have time to recover from the setback over the last month of the regular season. It's a marquee matchup in the NFL. And I would sit here and spend more time talking about it, but we got a lot of things to get to. I was shocked to learn, and I had to look this up, that the Lions are favored by 3 going in, and I have no idea why. And here I am slipping into my Cowboys fandom now as we've won 3 in a row. How are we not favored? But I'll say Cowboys by 3. They'll probably win by far more. And I think that's what's wrong with us Cowboys fans. You give them a rope, I think they're a Cowboy. I can't wait for kickoff at Ford Field tonight. After starting 5-2, the 2-time defending NFC North champions, the Lions, have lost 3 of 5 to fall behind division-leading Chicago and second-place Green Bay. While we're sitting here, anybody want to tell me why the Lions have fallen off from what they were last year? Where they win 15 games? It was a club record, whatever it was. And I'm not a dummy. I mean, they lost their coordinators, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Is that what it is? We'll get into that with Moose, but I want everybody's thoughts on the Thursday night game tonight. Who wins and by how much? I'll say Cowboys by 6. Point 2 of the quick 6. I said to our viewers that were tuned in last hour that we would spend a lot more time on college football this hour, and why not? You're going to be hearing a lot more on this program moving through December and January and bowl season, college football playoff. Lane Kiffin's awkward and angst-filled departure from Ole Miss is going to happen again. It's inevitable unless college administrators and football coaches agree to reimagine this imperfect calendar that has been a mess for decades, but is now in its worst position ever. Under the current format, National Signing Day happens during Conference Championship Week. The transfer portal opens during the college football playoff, and some coaches are secretly interviewing for other jobs before Halloween. No one has an ideal solution. Even the thought of adopting an NFL-like format seems flawed. And just do a little Google search on college NFL-like format, and this story will come up of which I'm reading right now. I've just read you a snippet. But because the suits that run college football have they driven it into the ground? No. More people. I mean, what's your barometer for this? More people are watching than ever before. They're making more money than ever before. Has it failed? No, but it's wrong. And I said to Moose, sometimes I actually tell my co-hosts and guests what we're going to talk about ahead of the time. I said, we're going to talk about what they should do to change this for college football. Now, I did not go to post-secondary education in America. I did in Canada. Not totally familiar with the semester setup, although I kind of think the second semester begins in the new year, right? Do they care about that in college football? They say they do. And even during March Madness last year, I was driving around at home in Florida listening to the radio, and they had a college basketball pundit on. He's like, we're in March Madness, and the transfer portal is open. He goes, this makes no sense. He goes, this would be like the NBA, because he was a basketball guy, having free agency open during the NBA playoffs. That's the whole, for those that don't know what the transfer portal is, it's the window for student athletes to switch schools. And it happens in December because there's the U.S. viewers know exactly what's going on here because they've been following it for years. Why did Florida and LSU bang on Lane Kiffin's door at Mississippi? Because their season was in the crapper. They'd fired their coaches, and they need to start planning for next year. They need to start recruiting kids for next year. And just because they say you're not allowed to talk to kids until the transfer portal opens, you think they're not talking to players? They are. So they need somebody to come in and run their program, and Lane Kiffin just happened to be coaching Ole Miss to their best season potentially ever, and he left in the middle of the season. It's wrong. So we need to move the transfer portal window. You see that I'm trying to land the plane here, and I actually think I'm doing a pretty good job of it. They could move the transfer portal until January, but the second semester starts then. Do we care about that? I don't know. That's why they can't figure out a way to fix this. 902-518-3033. Jeff in Toronto watching our streaming feed. He says college football would be better off acknowledging it and setting rules around it. Well, they're not necessarily ignoring it either. Nobody knows how to. And as I said here, that's my whole point. I want to ask the viewers, and we're going to ask Moose after the break his thoughts, because he's sitting down there in Palm Springs, California. I was just with him last weekend at his wedding. I said, what's the number one topic around here for sports? I'd never been to Palm Springs before. I quite enjoyed it. I'll never live there. Well, not for the next 30 years anyways. But he said, it's college football, college football, college football. Oh, okay, just like South Florida. Gotcha. Brent writes in, thank you, Brent Patrician, regarding what's the change with the Lions. He says, your guess is as good as mine as to my Lions, Rod. They did lose their offensive and defensive coordinators. Dan Campbell's been calling offense himself at times this season. Maybe he's trying to do too much. It ain't over yet, but I'll tell you what, if the Lions go from a conference best record to missing the playoffs, somebody's going to pay. I don't necessarily think it's going to be Dan Campbell. And by the way, what did I say last hour? You can't start the cleanup until the train goes off the tracks. And for the Detroit Lions, they haven't gone off the tracks yet. They might beat the Dallas Cowboys tonight. That's the one thing about the Cowboys, as we know. They could win every game, but they could also very easily lose every game. And I know you say, well, every team's like that, Rod. No. The Cowboys are the perfect example of that at 6-5-1. They're as unpredictable as a Smartie box. And it's frustrating. Mike writes in and says, Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins is a great resource for the mindset that can bring peace of mind to many. How did you find us, Mike? Although you're totally right, but this is the point, to say, let them sort it out. They're making millions running college football. They've screwed it all up. We might as well go to a volunteer. And I don't mean Tennessee. The guys getting paid all the money can't figure it out, so let's figure it out ourselves and tell them. And they can have it for free. Point 3 of the Quick Six Show topics is the National Hockey League. Cole Caulfield scored the shootout winner after a frantic overtime period as the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Winnipeg Jets 3-2 Wednesday night in a back-and-forth affair. Travis Konechny, Noah Cates, and Bobby Brink each had a goal and a helper. The Philadelphia Flyers beat the Buffalo Sabres 5-2 for their fourth win in 5 games. And Alex Ovechkin and Ryan Leonard each scored 2 goals to lead the Washington Capitals to a 7-1 win over the San Jose Sharks. Those are 3 of the 5 games in the NHL last night. I had a sucky night. I went 2 of 5. But I often say, don't talk to me for betting advice. It's just fun trying to make these picks. I will say this. We are brought to you in part by CoolBet.com. Use the promo code RPShow, and CoolBet will match your welcome bet bonus up to $200. That's at CoolBet.com. Canadian viewers only. But I can't be the only one whose NHL picks suck. The Jets-Canadiens overtime last night was as good a hockey as you'll ever see. I understand it was 3-on-3, and a lot of people hate that. But, oh, my God, I'm sitting there watching it here in Moose Jaw, and my heart was in my throat, fluttering. And I don't even care who won. Last hour, Kevin the Medium was with us, and he said, yeah, that's great overtime rules when it's played properly. But when guys are dilly-dallying, which is a Canadian hockey term, you can look it up, dipsy-doodling, taking the puck back on their own side of center and then in their own zone to wind up and try to get, that sucks. But what we saw last night was with Winnipeg Montreal was a fantastic display of hockey. And Montreal went on to win in a shootout. And so as we sit here today, first week of December, this leads us into our poll question today. How many Canadian teams will be in the Stanley Cup playoffs? And as we're hearing now from the Nevada viewers, they don't mind these Canadian topics because it's different. Different is good. There's still an NHL market, but this show is different. And gosh dang it, truer words have never been spoken. But the poll question is how many Canadian teams will make the playoffs? And the last I looked, leading the poll was 2. And just so you know, that's fairly calamitous for a lot of reasons, and especially to NHL fans in Canada. Last year, there were 5, which was the most since, what did we discern the other day or look up? The most since 1986 when there were 7. It was a different NHL back then. There was only 21 teams. Last year, there were 5 Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This year, there were only 2, and none like in a playoff spot as we sit here today. I understand everything's going to change, but maybe it won't. And the Western Conference and the NHL right now today has no Canadian teams, and I'm looking at it going, this isn't good. So again, leading the vote is 2. That brings up the next question of how does the NHL feel about that? How does Gary Bettman feel about that? And to be honest, I don't know how. I thank God, but I have the good fortune of spending a fair amount of time around Gary Bettman. He lives not far, or he has a home not far from me in South Florida. He's at a lot of Panthers games. The last time he had a news conference there, I was standing right beside him. And maybe the next time they do, I'll ask him, Gary, how do you feel about this may be the fewest Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs in ever? Again, speaking of good fortune, I can also speak on behalf of a lot of Canadian NHL fans because I am one, who my passport says, I'm not the same as them, the ones that say, oh, Bettman will love this. Less Canadian. No, he won't. No, he will not. For a couple of reasons, but when the Canadian that's the tide that raises the boats. That's where all the money's coming from, is Canada. Gary knows this because he likes money. And that's number one. And then number 2, from my U.S. hockey fan friends, they just think of Canada as Narnia because they love hockey and they know that it's not that big of a deal down there. Who doesn't want to be part of something that matters? And in Canada, the NHL matters more than anything else, period. I'm pretty confident in saying that too. Anyways, that's something we'll bring up with Moose next segment. How will the NHL feel about this? Fewest Canadian teams ever in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It ain't good. And how did this happen? Bill Belichick, point 4. Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, 2 of the key pillars in the New England Patriots dynasty, were picked as finalists for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class. It's like, why are they even voting on this? They are Hall of Famers. Oh, wait. They've been in trouble over the course of their careers. Does it matter anymore? I think it's fantastic that the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, whether you want to say they're looking past it or the other way or just forgiving things, it's awesome. But beyond that, in the case of Belichick, Spygate, Deflategate, whatever else gate, Blackball gate, it's like the Astros 2017 World Series. They were caught cheating, but they never had the World Series trophy taken away from them. What does this say? It says, if you cheat to win, you may temporarily be disciplined, but your legacy will not be tainted. With these guys going into the Hall of Fame, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I wonder if you do. The viewer. 902-518-3033 to text us, or if you're watching on streaming, you can comment in the chat section. And we'll be back as Moose is going to join me to talk about all of these things here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and across Canada and 32 U.S. states right here on the Game Plus TV network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. We invite you to sign up for the very much free Rod Pedersen Show newsletter, brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Are you stuck for gift ideas? Suds gift cards, available online at our location or at Costco. They're the ultimate for anyone who loves a clean ride. Visit sudsregina.com. Moose needs a clean ride, rolling down there in Palm Springs, California. Hey, how you doing, Moose?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Where's the old ball and chain? It's your first appearance as a married guy. With me, anyways.
She's in Canada. I'm on my own. Can you believe it? All this time to myself.
Oh, and Palm Springs, a lot of trouble to get in there. Before we get down to business with the sports, Moose, how's life? Give me a Palm Springs, what do they call that area? Because there's a lot of cities in there, a lot of towns.
Yeah, they call it the Coachella Valley. Southern California, or the Coachella Valley, right? And then when it gets really hot, this is where the term Death Valley comes from, because I was talking to somebody here locally, Eileen, who the audience doesn't. She said it got up to 130 degrees in the summertime, and the kids' plastic toys melted on the sidewalk. Melted. And she had to scrape the plastic. Like, that's insane to think about. Insane. You know a little bit about that in Florida for sure. And not that you spend the summers there right now, but yeah, the Coachella Valley gets hot.
That's why I come back to Canada in the summer. For Mama didn't raise no fool. Okay, Moose, I prepped you a little bit on what we were going to talk about here. And welcome, everybody. Get on in on Game Plus television. For whatever reason, Moose, those guys at Game Plus really like you. I don't know why. I tried to dissuade them. It is what it is. And 2, Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network in Nevada. The viewers all know you there in the Silver State. So cool. Week 14 in the NFL kicks off tonight. Cowboys at Detroit. It really is a playoff game come early. That's awesome. Point 2, I said, how would you change college football if you had the ability? Because the guys that are getting paid millions to do it have screwed it all up. And we all know why or how or where it's at. And point 3, this may be the fewest Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs ever. As we sit here today, it's 2. There's been days where there's only been 1. Last year, there were 5. How would the NHL feel about that? So those are a few of the topics. Which one jumps on you first?
Well, you were talking. Let's do hockey and then go to football, because you were talking about that in the last segment, and I was listening. And in my mind, I'm like, "There's no way. There's no way that we're going to go into the playoffs with 1 or 2 Canadian teams in it." I think that would be a disaster for the NHL. I really do. I mean, yeah, the notion that Gary hates Canada and all the rest. I mean, whatever. People can believe what they want to think, but not having Canadian teams in the playoffs would be bad for business. Not just, every market is as valuable, or as whatever you want to say. They're all the same, right? We care about Toronto as much as we care about San Jose, or as much as we care about Winnipeg and Dallas, whatever. But if you don't have Canada in, that's a big market. The whole country not interested in the playoffs. I think that would be horrible for business. And Gary knows it too. We talk a little bit about, and I know you debunked this, was it last week? You kind of were like, well, the Thanksgiving thing, right? Where are the standings at U.S. Thanksgiving? That's the standings come the end of the year, right? Barring a couple of changes. And I think this year, more than any other, I looked at the standings and I'm like, Winnipeg's in trouble. Toronto's in trouble. The Panthers are in the basement. But top to bottom, it's as tight as it's ever been, I feel like. And these standings are going to change. When Toronto's 3 points out of a playoff spot, but they're third last in the standings, Florida's 5 points out of the playoffs and they're in the basement. It's not that hard to think that things will change a lot, but these Canadian teams do have to figure it out sooner than later.
Gosh dang it, is it fun to follow. And we had Jersey Jim on the other day. He runs NHLrumors.com. It's his business. And I'm like, Jimmy, what's coming down the pipe? And he's like, sounds like nothing. And I'm like, oh, okay. He would know. He came and stayed with me in Florida, Jersey Jim did. I saw this guy. He's working the phones all the time. And he says, no trades are imminent. But Darren, you just said they're going to have to do something. And I think it's not going to go all the way to March to the trade deadline. I'm not saying Jim's wrong, but I don't think we're looking at a very wild trade deadline. I think that they must be coming in January and February, I would think.
Yeah, I got to think there's some moves coming soon. But again, it reminds me so much of like these marathon races, and we're going to see that. Well, we're not going to see it at the Winter Olympics, but we see it at the Olympics and things where the group, they all clump together and they're running with the pack. Nobody's going crazy and taking their energy out, and their times might be whatever, but you're going with the pack. Everybody's staying close, and it's like you monitor. It's like, okay, we don't have to do anything crazy because we're all staying close with the pack. The second somebody starts to break away and you get a little bit further behind, that's when the moves will happen. When that gap becomes too far and you become uncomfortable. Right now, even Florida, Toronto, in the basement, even Buffalo, they're within striking distance of the playoffs. The second they feel nervous that they're like too far out of it, I think moves will happen, and that could happen soon.
Well, I can speak for Florida. They're not panicking there at all, within the team at all. I don't know about Toronto. You live there, and I know you'll be back there at some point. But I will say this. I walked out of Pedersen Airport on Friday. Did I call you? I don't believe I did on Friday, but I was in your town, and it was crisp. And I was like, hockey weather. First thing I thought. It's exciting, man. It's a NHL in Toronto, and Montreal is the same. It's a vibe that you don't have in many places.
It is, and it is great. And you're right. This time of year, that cool air, and it's hockey weather for sure. Like I'm down here, and it's hard. Like hockey's not crossing my mind. Like we're gonna go up and watch a game. I'm gonna go to Anaheim. I think we're gonna watch Ducks and Caps tomorrow night. Was thinking about watching Bedard tonight against the LA Kings, but we're gonna watch the Caps and the Ducks tomorrow night. But you're not thinking about hockey. When you get into that cool environment, you're right. Toronto's been a cool town to be a part of, especially when you get downtown.
At some point, because you know me well, probably better than anybody, that you know my mind is always on hockey. So when I go down, I go down for your wedding. First thing I check, the schedule of the Coachella Valley Firebirds. But your family's no different. They all went to the game on the Friday night, all your family, and your dad had a blast. Your dad was cheering for the other team. Do you ever find out why Harold was cheering for San Diego?
No, he likes to do his own thing, chart his own course. And sometimes he just likes to be a stick in the mud compared to everybody else.
Darren and I were laughing because there was a rehearsal party, and for whatever reason, I was invited to it. Your dad wouldn't use two words if one would do. And all of a sudden, Harold's, I said to Darren, was your dad drinking? I couldn't shut him up. I'd like to talk to Darren. I came to see Darren. But your dad's telling all his stories. It was hilarious. Oh, man, we had a blast. I'm assuming you did too.
Oh, yeah. Such a great time. Good to have you down for that. And you're right. The stories were going all night long. And really, for the course of the whole week, it was fun.
Well, and that is my whole point. It was the first thing I did was check a hockey schedule, went to a game, but your family did the same. We're Canadians. That's what we do. Jeremy writes in, he says, the Leafs are going to panic. It's what they do. That ain't wrong. Jack Fulton says, hey, Darren, I'll be in Palm Springs mid-January. If you're still there, I'll let you two sort that out. Mark in Melfort writes in, where they do the Melfort Shuffle. He says, Moose finally came out of the bedroom. Tony in Cochrane writes in, he says, Moose, as we switch this to the National Football League, I vowed not to pick the Browns again this year after losing to the Jets in Week 10 after a bye week. He's talking about week-by-week picks. He says, so I'm picking your Titans to win their second game. Am I crazy, or is it a race for the number one pick maybe? Is the tank for whoever on yet?
It is. I mean, Tennessee's in a whole lot of trouble right now. Don't have a coach. Can't get the offense going. And at the same time, everybody's still really excited about Cam Ward and about how well he's been playing, even though the yards aren't there and the numbers aren't there and all the rest. So there's some positives, but there's a lot of negatives. And with the Browns, you're seeing two camps. You're seeing one camp that's sitting there giving Shedeur the opportunity to play, and then him failing and saying, look, this is why he hasn't been playing, and it's Dylan Gabriel over top of him. And then you have another camp saying, well, Shedeur hasn't been given a chance. Now he's being thrown under the bus by being made the starting quarterback. But before that, they were crying that he should have been the starting quarterback. So you have all this confusion going on, but either way, things are not good. I would give the Browns the edge. I still think they're a better football team than the Titans today. This is a little bit, too, about Shedeur versus Cam Ward. Should Shedeur start, which I think he's probably going to, a chance for him to prove that maybe he's a better quarterback than Cam Ward and the future. So I think there's a lot of personal pride on the line here when the Browns meet the Titans.
Now, it's interesting that you've got your finger on the Titans' pulse, and I've been in Nashville with you. I've seen your Titans fandom. It's real. But are you following the blogs and the podcasts because they are so bad as much as normal? Like, for instance, with me as a Cowboys fan, I don't need to go seek it out because it's in my face all the time. You're in the States. You see it's all they talk about on ESPN. People write in here about the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry said this. Jerry said I can't get away from it. So it's easy for me. How are you? Clearly, you're following the Titans as much as ever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I am. It's hard, though. When you're this bad, you don't follow as closely. You're not geared up for every game. It's kind of on. I'm not exactly, I'd rather watch Red Zone now, this type of season, than watch the Titans every single snap of every single game. It's just not happening. But I'm seeing all the news for sure. And right now, it's all about the coach. What's next? Where do you go? And now we're looking at free agents and what's got to be made, what moves need to be made. And it's even worse because a lot of the conversation is in Titans fandom is sitting there watching Mike Vrabel having so much success in New England, and we ran him out of town, which is looking like a mistake, bigger mistake by the day.
I feel like, Tony was asking you for a pick for the game, though. Do you not want to give yours, which is fine?
No, the Browns.
Who do you think
I said take the Browns.
Yeah.
I think the Browns will win.
Did you?
I do.
Okay, cool. We can come back on the NFL. We can come back on the NHL, but I did prep you for the college football talk. And listen, I didn't want to put any pressure on you because the people making millions couldn't figure out how to fix this situation where the transfer portal opens during the bowl season in the college football playoff. But it's bad, and it's led to LSU and Florida trying to kickstart next season by stealing Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss, which LSU was able to do. How do you fix this? Because there's literally nobody seems to have any idea how to fix this.
No, it's really difficult. And there's so many moving parts to this. Because my first thought is, well, you got to have the hiring process at the end of the season. But for teams that are not in the mix, their offseason's already started. And so LSU and Florida, as big programs that want to compete for national championships and be in the college football playoff every year, they want to coach in now because they need that coach to start recruiting. They don't want to wait and lose out on a month or two of recruiting time. That's horrible, especially when you've got, bowl season coming up and the playoff and everything else. The other side of it, though, is I understand Lane Kiffin's situation. It really bugged me. Like, I hate the idea of him abandoning his team and then taking coaches with him and leaving them high and dry. In a one-loss season, best season in program history, it feels like. And they're having this great run. They're into the playoff. And then, poof, your leadership is gone. They just abandon you at the most critical time of the year. I understand, though, if you say, and he wanted to stay and coach, but are you going to let him? It's like, no, you decided to leave. Get out of here. You don't get to hang around. You're choosing to leave. We're going to let you stay here and recruit all our players to come with you for an extra month? I mean, maybe you could sign some sort of an agreement that says, I'm not allowed to transfer any players for 12 months. That might be a solution to allow him to stay and coach. But if the LSU job is better, more desirable, it's where he wants to be, and for Lane, he says, the best job in college football, then of course he's going to want to take that. You're not going to want to stay. I loved being in Kindersley with the Kindersley Clippers. It was amazing. But there's more. There's bigger leagues. There's the NHL. There are places you want to go in your career that are just better, no matter how much you loved where you were. So I understand why he leaves. Just the timing of it all sucks. We're seeing it, though, with offensive coordinators in Ohio State going to take jobs, in Oregon. They'll stay to the end of the year. I know the recruiting thing becomes a little difficult because they could potentially be recruiting some of their players, but they're going to lesser schools. And I think everybody knows that. You're not going to transfer from Ohio State to a lesser school, from Oregon down to a lesser school. And that's a coordinator getting a promotion. But you got to change something where this hiring process can't affect these teams in the playoff.
It kind of feels like it's a first-time thing, yet when you think about it, it just so happened that Ole Miss is a top 12 college football team in the United States. So when you got teams desirous for him, you're just saying maybe they were, the chances of him being on any team outside the top 12, that's not out of the line of thinking, but that's not the case here. I guess what I'm saying is sometimes spit happens, right? And you can't do anything about it. I guess maybe the thing is you can't speak to a coach until December 15th, college football playoff bracket or otherwise. That's just the way it is. I feel like that would be could you do that? December 15th. So.
And some of the conversation has been trying to get that national championship game to happen around Christmas time. Again, you're shorting it though. And now you're going to have to adjust schedules. Do you shorten the season? Do you move the calendar up a little bit? What do you do to try and get that, that championship game into December and into Christmas so that way you can get that recruiting cycle started? So the coaches need to be hired so they can recruit. You don't want to hire a coach late and then you got to waste a whole year. You want to get going right away. So that's a big issue.
Well, and here's one for you, just as a lifestyle thing. Like, where are you on Lane Kiffin? Because as you know, I subscribe to the USA Today, but I don't necessarily like it or support what they say. Like, there was a headline, "Inside Lane Kiffin's villainous exit from Ole Miss." I'm like, that's your opinion. You're supposed to be a newspaper. Then don't say it's villain. Why did you have to put that word in there? So I guess my point is you're sitting there in Palm Springs. You're seeing all the coverage. I'm sure everybody's talking about it on Coffee Row. Is he being unfairly maligned?
Probably at the end of the day. Today, though, that headline in terms of public perception, pretty accurate. I mean, Lane Kiffin is the villain in this situation. I think everybody across the country, it feels like, have kind of become Ole Miss fans, and they want them to win and rally around this situation that they've been thrown into. There's been talk about that they need to be removed from the college football playoff, much like Florida State was when they lost their quarterback to injury. Now you've lost your coach and your staff. Is this team deserving of a playoff spot? That would be really crazy, and I don't think there's a world where that happens, but it's conversation.
Snowman's watching in Indiana. He says, Moose. Hey, Snowman, I'll be reaching out to you. Jack in Vulcan says, college ball made the mistake a few years back, and the dollars and suits were put in the bad position, and it can't be fixed. That is also very possible. Some situations are unfixable. He's not wrong. In a minute, Belichick and Kraft to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Seems pretty fast to me. I support it, but do you?
I do. They're both Hall of Famers. I mean, what Robert Kraft is doing right now in New England, again, with the Vrabel hiring and them getting right back to prominence. People love the organization. They love to be a part of it. By all accounts, he's been a phenomenal owner, and the championships are proof of that. And you can't argue Bill's resume. You can argue who's responsible for all those, if it's Tom, if it's Bill, if it's coordinators, if it's, whatever. He was still there. The resume is the resume. And no matter what's happened in North Carolina, he's a Hall of Famer.
Snowman mentioning Roger Craig as well, going into the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt. Hey, Moose, thanks for jumping on with us. You know the viewers love it. We covered everything I wanted to and a little bit more. So thanks for the time, and keep in touch, my friend.
Amen. Always good to be on. Good to see you.
The Moose checking in from the beautiful Palm Springs, California. The sun's shining on Moose. It does most days. We'll be right back after this.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Well, everybody, welcome back. When you're looking for strategic communications with impact, Outlaw Communications delivers, led by my good friend Tony Plater with 35 years of communication and leadership experience. He specializes in media relations training, leadership coaching, and crisis communication strategy. Give him a call, 306-570-6913, or visit tonyplater.com. Man, we're getting through a lot of stuff today. When Moose joins, it just seems to bring everything to order. For those that don't know, it was him and I, for just the two of us on this show. It was like Wilbon and Kornheiser for a long time, literal years. But now he's moved on. He's doing other things in the television streaming broadcast industry. He's down there in Palm Springs, and we're just very grateful when he finds the time to join us because he brings a lot to the program. The sports update's brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The Toronto Maple Leafs carry a 2-game win streak into Carolina tonight. They're one of 4 Canadian teams on the NHL schedule, with Ottawa hosting the New York Rangers and Calgary welcoming Minnesota. The Edmonton Oilers will entertain Seattle, and I'll get to my picks in a second. I suffered last night in my NHL picks. But I will say something about that. Making the picks is great, and you can kind of see why the leagues and the teams support gambling but are very wary of it, because growing up, as my advisor Lisa was saying to me, she's like, you're getting very reflective in your time in Canada this week. I'm like, yes, I am. Spent some time on the farm last night with my aunt and uncle because my parents have passed. But as a family, I remember being 10 years old having our Stanley Cup playoff pools. And what did we throw in? $20 maybe? I was 10. I didn't have any money. But all of a sudden, we're following the Stanley Cup playoffs. And back then, kids, Wayne Gretzky wasn't allowed to be chosen in the pool because he had so many points, it would made it unfair for everybody. But anyways, it gets you into it. The picks get you. You don't need to put big money on it. It could still be fun and get you into the games. I feel like I'm telling you something you already know. But it's like barring it completely would not be the way to go. A marquee matchup loses some shine tonight in NBA play with superstar guard Luka Doncic ruled out as the Lakers visit the Toronto Raptors. Toronto coming off a 3-point win over Portland Tuesday, but will be without R.J. Barrett and Jakob Poeltl. Isn't LeBron playing for the Lakers? Should be a big enough draw. Seattle Mariners first baseman Josh Naylor of Mississauga has won the 2025 Tip O'Neill Award as the top Canadian in Major League Baseball. Naylor hit .295 with 92 RBI and 30 stolen bags, leading all Canadians while splitting the season between Arizona and Seattle. And the Olympic flame for the Milan Cortina Winter Games was formally handed to Italian organizers in Athens today at the all-marble stadium that hosted the first modern Olympics nearly 130 years ago. It will now travel to Italy for a 63-day, 12,000-kilometer relay through all 110 provinces before arriving at Milan's San Siro Stadium for the February 6th opening ceremony. Are you getting excited yet? The sports update is for Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store Moose Jaw. Get your game day gear in-store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. I told you yesterday that we were doing our Cats and Bolts podcast where we cover Florida NHL hockey, and my co-host is Nick Fairbanks. And Tibby, he didn't live in South Florida. He was joining us from Minnesota. He's a Panthers fan and an American. And I said, are you getting excited for the Olympics? And he's like, well, I am. He goes, as far as Olympic hockey goes, he goes, I don't think most Americans will get excited about it until they start. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But I said, what's cool about being in Canada is they are talking about it, and they have been talking about it for a while. All they care about is Olympic men's hockey and the NHL players being in it. And New Year's Eve, I got to thank Terry, the lawyer in Calgary, for informing us that indeed New Year's Eve. Was it New Year's? Yeah, New Year's Eve, they'll be announcing Canada's roster for the Olympics. It's hotly anticipated. One more segment coming up, everybody. Your final chance to get your questions and comments in on today's topic. How would you solve college football? What's happened to the Detroit Lions? A few other topics. We are broadcasting across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, and, of course, across Canada and 32 U.S. states right here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Welcome back, everybody, for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It is the Overtime segment. Go out and check them out this holiday season. They're running their 12 Days of Christmas promotion, I guess you could say, as they benefit the Veterans Association of Calgary, Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast. It is great community people there at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's like Top Golf, but for hockey. Literally, what could be better? And as we're talking about Alberta, I want to mention my guy Jack tuning in. He says it's been too long. Great watching RP again. Great to have you, Jack. As always, I'm forgotten. We'll get some phone time here within the next few days. Paul writes in from Humboldt regarding the talk about the playoff drafts as a family. Paul says, we split Gretzky's goals and assists for the family playoff draft. One of the two would still win. I can't believe anybody would ever even debate who's the greatest hockey player of all time. Most of us know that it's 99, and then there's the rest of people. Yeah. As I mentioned, 902-518-3033. Coming up tomorrow, it will be a Football Friday. Mike's watching in Richmond, BC, and we appreciate you, Mike. He's just written, he says, everyone has their own opinion on college coaches leaving and who should be in or out of the playoffs. But as you said, Rod, ratings are up, revenue is up, and even a few people in Canada are talking about it, kind of think it ain't broke. Why fix it? Did I say that? So there's some broken hearts left behind. Sometimes you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. You know what I'm saying? You got to turn the Titanic around. You got to hit a few icebergs. As it has been related to me, maybe it's not a problem. Yeah, it ain't up to us to fix. They didn't ask. But dag nabbit, is it ever fun to talk about? Kirk in Toronto, who's just like a bucket horse, can't wait to get out of the stall for Football Friday. He's written in Kirk in Toronto on the text line for Western Dodge. He says, the Bluebirds have signed pitcher Cody Ponce. He tore up the Korean League last year. How about those Blue Jays? Really, all we care about is Bo Bichette. Let's get real. Greg in Calgary, I appreciate him when I was asking yesterday, what is the deal with the MLS playoffs? I don't follow soccer, don't plan to follow soccer, but it's Vancouver versus Inter Miami, which is a tantalizing matchup, there's no doubt. I meant to ask Kevin the Medium last hour if he's into it because he's from Vancouver and forgot. But Greg says the first round of the playoffs are best of three. The final is one game. Well, that doesn't make any sense, but what do I know? Not much of what they do in soccer makes sense to me, and again, they didn't ask. To quote my friend Willie Jefferson, how that? Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, great show, everyone. Looking forward to Football Friday. We're looking forward to having you join us, Carlos. Thank you for sitting through the hockey talk as we get to everything here on the Golden Corral of Sports Talk. NHL picks tonight. I got to make this fast. Colorado at the New York Islanders tonight. Definitely going with the Avs. Nashville at Florida. Panthers are going to stomp them. Too much heat on the Cats these days. New York Rangers at Ottawa. That might be the marquee game. I'm thinking I'm going to take the Sens finally at home. St. Louis at Boston. A rematch of the 1970 and 2019 Stanley Cup Finals. It's the Bruins for me, dog. Toronto at Carolina. Carolina. Pittsburgh at Tampa Bay. The Lightning just keep on winning. It's like death, taxes, and the Lightning winning. Detroit at the Columbus Blue Jackets. Sneaky good game there. I'm going to take the Wings, Alex, for 100. Minnesota Wild at the Calgary Flames. This could get ugly. It's the Wild for me, dog. Seattle at Edmonton. Come on, Oilers. I'm taking Edmonton to win at home. And who's kidding who? This feels any game kind of but odd. plays in, feels like the marquee game for me. Chicago at the LA Kings. I think I'm taking Chicago in this one. They're coming off a extra time loss at Vegas the other night. The Kings don't seem to be all that to me. I got Chicago to win. It's funny because on that Panthers podcast yesterday, my co-host Nick, he's like, "Oh, your guy Connor Bedard." He's quoting me. I mean, it's not my thing. It's my friend Chris from the Bronx that calls him Connor Bedard, but I'll take it. Tony, watching in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in, he says, another night with the Raptors, Flames, and Thursday night football all on the same night. This has been happening all season. It's nuts. I get what you're saying. It would be nice if they spread it all out, but it's also a good thing. My focus is going to be on the Dallas Cowboys at the Detroit Lions, and wouldn't that be something after the smack I've talked all year about my Cowboys if they went all the way to the Super Bowl and won it? But I don't think they will. And write it down. Said the only way the Cowboys go to the Super Bowl is if Dak's driving the bus. The tour bus. But we'll see what they got in him tonight. It should be it's a great Week 14 matchup, and we'll preview more of the games on a Football Friday. Kevin, the medium, will rejoin us, and we'll get into that John Huffnagel to Toronto news, which is quite frankly quite mind-bending to me. I was today years old when I learned that John Huffnagel is joining the front office of the Toronto Argonauts. And Jim Barker will join us as well, a one-time Las Vegas resident, to talk all levels of football. It's a fun time of year in the gridiron game, and that's all coming up tomorrow. Thanks to Kevin the Medium today, Darren Moose Dupont, the Skycron crew, producer Corey and his brood. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, here on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network across Nevada and across Canada on Game Plus TV.
That.